Cool. So can you tell me what kind of feedback or data are you collecting from alpha users and how it influences your development decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with that, and then maybe you can expand on it. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that we collect that feedback. Obviously, there's the forums, and we are, even Ian Hazakostas, and including all the members on the team, look through the forums. We get reports from our community team who's also involved in the forums, and we're taking feedback and acting on it. We also implemented a new UI feature on the alpha where players can submit feedback at any time while they're playing. It makes it very easy, and it goes right to our QA team who helps us filter through all that stuff. But then they go through that and help us find the stuff we need.
It will be different than current report.
Absolutely.
UI, right?
And that is also incorporated every time you do a quest. In the alpha right now, there's a little box at the bottom that says, hey, what did you think of this quest? And so we're collecting tons of that feedback. And then just social media and interviews like this, and we're constantly engaging with the community and just trying to find out, like, how can we make things better?
Yeah, even watching player streams too, just watching how people navigate the world and learning, what's holding somebody up, what's, driving them to the place we want them to go. And just, there's a lot of lessons, I think, to be learned.
Cool. Can you tell me about the end game? So when you are 120, level 120, and another continent is opening for you, right? So the opposite faction continent, and what kind of content you get there? Is it like similar to World Quest or normal storylines? How does it look?
It's actually a whole bunch of stuff. So what's going to happen is, if you're, say, an Alliance player and you're playing in Kulturas, as you level up here, there will be a war campaign storyline that introduces you to Zandalar, introduces you to the other continent, and you'll be sent back there to establish footholds in the different zones on Zandalar. And then when you hit max level at 120, you'll receive a whole nother set of quests that send you to that continent to do to engage in an awesome storyline on the other continent. In addition to that, you'll have world quests. In addition to that, all of the dungeons on the other continent will open up. You'll also have a whole bunch of quests that were specific to areas, maybe neutral factions that weren't necessarily part of the Horde that you'll be able to participate in, and a whole bunch of other content besides. It's going to be really great.
Okay, so just also not only world quest, but also just quest hubs with
Yes.
NPCs and
Absolutely.
so on, right? Interesting that you said that dungeons will be opened.
Yeah, so when you're on Kulturas, you'll do the level up dungeons for your continent. When you get to max level, you'll also be able to do the dungeons on the other continent.
So they will not be available area, even from the find the group?
For
function?
level up, no.
No, okay. Yeah, can you tell me more about dungeons in the game? Will they play a significant role in leveling when we have a lot of other options available, like Warfronts or Isle Exploration?
Yeah, I think that
Expedition, sorry.
Sure, absolutely. Dungeons, there are some players that like to level in dungeons, and I think those players will still have that option. It's going to be restricted, again, to the dungeons that are on your continent, just for the level up experience. But they'll be a significant part of the overall storyline for the game. A lot of times we use dungeons as sort of the climax of the story. And so these dungeons are, not only are the storyline for these dungeons really cool, but actually the environment for these dungeons is pretty fabulous as well.
Yeah, we have a really good mix of exterior and interior dungeons this time. So not just the sort of, dungeon in the traditional sense. Yeah, but also some really, really interesting exterior, landscape environments with big dungeon features built into them. I think will be really exciting for players.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what is the role of, on the other hand, Island Expedition in character progression? Will you get only Azeroth, but maybe also items?
Yes. So Azeroth will be part of the experience. We're still working out some of the other rewards. There's a lot of questions that we have to answer about how often players are going to be doing these things, and we want to make sure that they're rewarding, but also make sure that you don't feel like you have to go do there all the time. But to that end, we're not really ready to finalize the rewards for islands yet, so I can't talk more about it, other than saying that yes, you will get Azeroth, and it will feel cool, and you'll want to keep doing it.
Okay, so I don't know if you are ready to answer the next question, which is, of course, what is the role in character progression of the Warfronts?
So I'm not ready to answer it exactly.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
can say is Warfronts will be a max level feature. So
I see. So it's not a progression.
it's not a level up thing,
Yeah, yeah.
but once you have leveled up at max level, that's when the Warfront becomes available.
What kind of quality of life changes will be in battle for Azeroth? Like, for example, maybe we get more quests in the quest log or something like this.
I think the professions
Yeah,
feature is
absolutely.
pretty interesting. You can talk to that.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things is professions are being broken up into new skill bars by expansion. So when you start Battle for Azeroth, if you're a new player, you only have to worry about Battle for Azeroth professions. You don't have to go, like for
I
tailoring,
see.
you don't have to go back and do linen cloth and then wool and then all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
spicy
You can
bread.
exactly. You can specifically
Yeah.
focus on just this expansion. And then if you want to do the other ones later, you can, but it's not in the way anymore. So that's one thing.
That's a huge quality of life.
Another thing I think is going to be really fabulous is they've done some updates to the maps that are actually going to be really interesting. Sort of behind the scenes that make it easier for us to build features into the map, but also players are going to notice that a lot of the maps in Battle for Azeroth will be a little bit higher resolution or have that option to be higher resolution.
I think they look different in alpha already. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also have impression that the maps are really huge. So the areas are huge.
Yes, they are.
Yeah?
They're gigantic and they're going to be awesome.
Okay, and what about World Quest? Did you like them? Are they staying in? So
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're gonna do more world quests. Ian mentioned it in his presentation this morning, but there will be emissaries will be back. There will be 6 different factions. That as an alliance player you'll have 6, and as a horde player you'll have 6. 3 of those factions will be specific to your faction. So horde will have the 3 for their zones, and alliance will have the 3 for their zones. And then there will be 2 neutral factions, the Tortolans and Magni, and then there's a final faction that's sort of the war effort faction. And all of those will be incorporated into World Quest.
Legion, little bit.
Very
Yeah,
similar to
yeah, yeah.
Legion. And there'll be world quests associated with those. There'll be different rewards associated with those. We really liked how world quests worked in Legion, and we just want to make the system. We want to, polish it up a little, make some tweaks to make it a little better and more fun, but not change the system.
So generally, what did you learn from Legion, and you want to continue in Battle for Azeroth? Like, world quests are one thing.
Yeah.
Also, the Heart of Azeroth is called, right? It's similar to Artifact Weapon, of course.
Yeah.
But anything else?
I think the skyboxes on Argus.
Skyboxes were definitely a big step forward. I think also just storytelling, and world building in general is we've I think evolved the way that we tell our stories, both in our quest and content, but also in the way that we're building the world. And I think with each expansion we make advances in that realm, and I think Legion was definitely another one of those, and I think Battle for Azeroth is going to be yet another step forward.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, Ian mentioned something about unique mission that Horde players need to do to get allied Zandalari trolls, so they have to rescue some princess or something like that. Can you tell me some more about it?
I'll tell you a little bit, but I don't want to spoil the story for you.
I think it's not on alpha yet.
It will be very soon. What he's talking about is at the start of the expansion, you're basically going to be working for Sylvanas to help Princess Talanji, who's the daughter of the king of the Zandalari trolls. You're trying to help her because you want to have an in with the Zandalari trolls. And so that whole opening quest line is how can I rescue, you're actually going to go in and rescue her, and you're going to then try to bring her safely back to Zandalar so that her dad will ally with you. And of course things go wrong and then you have to save it, but that's the storyline that we'll be putting out on Alpha soon.
She's in the old world someone.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
And is there a similar storyline in Alliance?
It's not the same.
Not the same, yeah. I think on both sides though, really the sort of emphasis is we're trying to gain allies for the war effort, Horde versus Alliance, right? So the Alliance trying to gain the allies of the Kultirans and bring them back into the fold, and for the Horde, really, Zandalar, right? I want that big, ancient troll empire on their side to help fight against the Alliance.
I do want to add, though, the story for the Alliance is different, but it is very cool.
Yeah.
The Alliance has this history with Jaina Proudmoore and her dad, who she fought against and helped defeat him. And so her family history in Kul Tiras is complicated. And there's some awesome story moments with her coming back.
Basically, a lot of, I think, storylines in Battle for Azeroth is like family drama, right?
Yeah.
Guess we have time for one more question. Okay.
Okay, one more question then. Do you know who will be the author of the novellas from the collector's edition?
Who will
The
be the
author
Who will be the
of the
writer? Who will be the
novellas.
writer? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't actually speak to that one, not because we don't know, but because I don't know.
Well, I guess I can check. and
you can
Yeah,
find
we
out.
and
we
give you
don't
this
we do
information.
know they have been written. they're ready, so that's an answer we can give for you.
So it's already done. So
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if that was one.
I mean, if you want, I can just one more. Come on, this one was quick.
Cool, thank you. So I would like to know what was the inspiration behind the zones in Battle for Azeroth.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because I see they have unique feeling, unique atmosphere.
Yeah.
So what was your
That's all you
inspiration?
should
Oh yeah, this is good. So I think for Tierregard, we really wanted almost like a Fjordland sort of feel initially, where it was carved by glacial passage and this sort of thing, and really tried to get that feeling of what was almost like a interior big oceanic bay too. And then, getting almost what we started out with, like a Holland vibe kind of for Storm Song, to get a little bit lighter and brighter and really like give you a high point on that continent. And then for Drustvar, really going almost to like a New England or Old English sort of countryside with a lot of those autumnal colors and more of the sort of higher witch themes that we had there. So I think those are kind of the bigger themes there. For the Zandalar side of things, Zuldazar itself, we wanted really a primordial jungle. Like, where would dinosaurs live, right?
Yeah.
What would be the sort of environment that would spawn that type of creature that would be the basis of this vast and very powerful empire of the Zandalari trolls? Nazmir being a portion of that empire that had sunken and been sort of flooded and become this swampy section. And then Vol'dun, again, another part of that empire that had been really almost terraformed by events there and turned into what I think is a pretty awesome sort of fantastical twist on a desert,
Okay, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope you had
Hey, thanks
a
so
good
much.
time. Thank you. See you
Yes.
pretty soon. Yes.